Because when you get right down to it, in my opinion, a VAR has to differentiate themselves from other VARs.
Sure.
And so if hardware is being no margins and commoditized, if services are being commoditized, what's left is for them to actually become what we call a trusted business advisor to their customer. And you've been saying it in other words. So
that's right.
So now they have to provide solutions. But the solutions, like when you go into a VAR, you've dealt with enough VARs now. When they go in there, do you think they should be talking about, here's the type of rollers that you need, and here's the here's the modems that you need, and here's the servers that you need, or where should that conversation be?
And so I tend to view, I think we try to make everybody sound, it's all the same, and I think a lot of, this comes down to kind of marketing 101 type activities and segment the customer base, because there's always going to, let's just say you could take all of the companies that I could be doing business with, there's probably 5 or 6 segments out there. There's going to be people who just do still want that infrastructural, give me the right equipment. There's going to be other ones who want the high-touch service, or there's going to be other ones who want a full business solution. So I think there's going to be different ones, and you just need to know, as a VAR or one of these solution providers, which of those segments am I best to serve? And if I go to talk to somebody and they're not one of those, do I try to pitch the business anyway, or do I run and go find someone else that I'm a better fit for?
Or try to understand their business more and how to fit
and adapt. Exactly.
Adapt into it. And so going back to your comment about apps and so on, I think a big part of where the future is going to be for a VAR is figuring out what are the right apps for the right clients, and then how do they become an expert in those apps and help them to integrate that. And at the same time, I agree with what you're saying with you're going to have a public cloud and a private cloud and on-premise stuff.
That's right.
Somebody actually, we all talk about all this stuff being automated and no touch, but you know what? You still need a modem someplace, and it's still going to break at some point, and somebody has to be there.
That's right.
Who can actually do it.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's a consistent theme to our conversation here, and guess what? It still sounds like a pretty complex world. and in those, there's always, I think, fantastic opportunities for the people who are willing to adapt and reinvent themselves and stick on the trends. There's countless opportunities. So I'm a very optimistic person on
the
that
comment
front.
I made before was, when people look at your model, probably a lot of people say, well, that's stupid or that's ridiculous,
sure.
or because it's different than what's out there. And my response to you, or my second part of that comment was, and that's why you make money and they don't. Everything changes,
right?
Except quite often the people, and it just doesn't work. Like, the idea of the whole Spiceworks and what you're doing. Is very much out of the same model as what my part of the world comes from, which is the marketing, the advertising.
That's right.
And there's so many people who thought Google was crazy when they did it, and then Facebook and LinkedIn and all of them, they didn't want to do it at the beginning, but guess what?
Yeah.
They're saying, gee, we have this fabulous network, but we're not making any money on it, and they're going back and saying, okay, well, how do we make money? Advertising keeps coming back up because everybody out there needs advertising, and if you've got the right medium, then and you obviously do with 1 million people, and that's a great network.
That's right, and that's I think that's a long-term trend in the sense that you look at the amount of time people spend online versus where the dollars are. There's still a lot of dollars that have to move from TV and offline media to online media, so I think that's a very, very strong trend. And the other is, when we started the company, we thought about charging $20 a month for Spiceworks, but we have the same challenge everyone else does, is how do you reach a significant number of SMBs? And so that was sort of the idea of, if it's free and you have free distribution, you can reach mass scale, but then obviously you have to come up with a different business model, and that was just us adapting to the times.
Okay, so on that note, what I want to do is I want to change the subject for just a couple of minutes. We're going to move into the subject of you personally, because our audience always tells me that they want to know who these people really are.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is 2 things. One, I'm going to give our audience what they want, which is to know more about you as a person. At the same time, I'm going to show you that you know your own business world a whole lot better than you know yourself.
Ah, okay.
Okay? And so it's kind of a little bit scary when you start to think about it. But this is your, what we call your 5 minutes of fame. So
wow, here it is. That leaves me 10 more minutes, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right.
Well, I wouldn't want to take it on. We've just met.
Right.
So, what's your favorite movie?
Goodfellas. Ooh, and Lord of the Rings. I choose Goodfellas then. Choose Goodfellas.
Goodfellas?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite actor or actress?
Wow. What's his name?
Sorry, I didn't hear you say in the first part ever.
The what's that?
In the first part of this.
Yeah, I didn't stumble at all. Yeah, no, here I was going either De Niro or Kevin Spacey. I've been told I look like occasionally. I'll go with Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Yes, sir.
Who's your favorite music group or musician?
Ooh, tough one. Hundreds and hundreds, but over the long haul, U2. Followed him from the very beginning.
Were you the one that made him?
Heavens no. One of maybe thousands or millions back in the early days.
What's your favorite food? What, you eat every day?
If I had a last meal, it'd be steak and French fries. Steak frites, as the French call them, and a bottle of red wine. I'd have to go with it.
Okay, so that was going to be the next one. What's your favorite drink?
Depends on depends on the circumstance, but I'd go with red wine.
And how many of those have you had before this interview? Sorry, that question.
Not enough, right?
Who's your favorite CEO in the IT industry? Who do you think's the best?
Yeah, I mean, and I would have answered this probably 10 years ago, and so it's not just like, ooh, this is the latest fad, but still Steve Jobs. I think the way he obsesses about products, I bought Apple stock, 10 years ago, or whenever he came back, I was like, he's going to make a difference, and I think he builds products with incredible focus on the user.
So now you're just making me feel bad because 15 years ago, we had a publication called MacBiz, and I cut it after its best issue because I thought in 1995 Apple was finished.
It was over, exactly. Yeah, as did most people. Yeah, no doubt.
So if you want any tips from me, just let me know.
Right, and do the opposite, or
yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Who's your favorite non-IT CEO?
Let's see, which one, now almost every business is IT. Back in the, I have to go with, I think Jack Welch and his focus on execution back in the day. I learned a lot from him.
If we're not number one or number two, we don't want to be in the business.
Right. Focus and execute.